Hey guys, sorry I couldn't be here today. I hope this works out pretty good for you. So this will be lesson 10 from module 4, writing and expanding multiplication expressions. So we've kind of been talking about some things like that we might see on the computer or the calculator, like if there's a letter next to a letter, that's going to mean multiply them. A times B. I think we know that that means multiply now. Also, something next to parentheses, that's also going to mean multiply. If you see something with a star in between, that also means multiply. Even parentheses just next to each other also means to multiply. Okay? Those are good things to know. So, if I had 6 times B, let me tell you, mathematicians aren't lazy, but we just like to be efficient. So here's what that means. If we can write something with fewer symbols, we want to write it with fewer symbols. Instead of 6 dot B, we're going to just put 6B. Fair enough? If you come across something and it says 4 times 3 times H, we can combine the 4 and the 3 because they're like this, they're the same stuff. So 4 times 3 is 12, and then 12 times H. If we had something really crazy like 3 times 3 times 3 times A times C times Z, which really is a lot of stuff, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could say, well, this is 3 to the third, and then times A times C times Z. Or you could do 3 to the third, which is 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. And either of those would be fine. Here's some very specific things we do need to learn. The letters are called the variables. And I think you've heard me say that word. This thing, the number that's next to the letter, is called the coefficient. It's kind of a big word. And we've kind of known this before, so I'll just write it up here. Like if you did 3 times 2, each of these is called a factor. That's a factor. That's a factor. Turns out this 6 is also a factor, and so's the B. Those are both factors. Down here, this is a factor, 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 factor. There's a lot of factors. But they're all called factors. All the things that you multiply together, those are called factors. Now, there's kind of some things, the way mathematicians like to put things in order. So if you come across 5 times m times 3 times p, we're going to rewrite that combining like terms, and the 5 and the 3 can be multiplied together. Remember the commutative property of multiplication. We can multiply in any order we want. We can do 5 times 3, which is 15. Then we can multiply by m, multiply by p. Fair enough? Here's also a good thing to know. Because mathematicians are so efficient, not lazy, efficient. Instead of saying 1 times g times x, instead of writing all of that and then saying 1gx, we're just going to say gx because 1 is implied. Because of the identity property of multiplication, we can multiply by 1. It's the same thing. We don't have to write the 1 again. This is cleaner. I know, it's a lot of rules. But once you get them, things are going to be simpler. Okay? All right. So now that was condensing. So this was condensing, right? Making things simpler. We had all this long string of stuff, and we condensed it down into something smaller. Now we need to be able to expand. So if you're given something as simple as 5 times t, oops, I did it backwards. Condensing it, it would equal 5t. But the opposite is also true. If I gave you 10p, that could equal 10 times p. It could equal 2 times 5 times p. And this would be expanded. Sorry if it gets noisy. Mrs. Gillum is doing some vacuuming tonight. Okay, that's expanded. This is what I would call condensed. I think the book calls it something else, but for now, that's what we'll call it. Okay, let's practice some more expanding. This is the part I want you to do on your whiteboard and pause me. Okay, so expand the following. 7, B, C. Pause me. Write that out in expanded form. If you're going to expand it, 7 times A times B times C. Okay, next one to try. 12G. Pause me and expand that. Okay, if we expand it, a couple of ways we could do it because 12 is not a prime number, it's composite. We could say 12 times G. We could say 2 times 6 times G. We could say 3 times 4 times G. A lot of ways to do that one. Last one. 7G times 9H. Expand that. Well, we know this is 7 times G, and then that times transfers over, and this one is 9 multiplied by H. You got that? All right, let's try to find the product. Remember, the product is the answer when you multiply. Okay, so find the product, please, of 4F times 7G. Okay, we can multiply the coefficients. 4 times 7, 28, times F times G. Okay, let's find the product of 3DE times 9YZ. Coefficients, 3 times 9 is 27. DE, YZ. We could just end up with a whole alphabet soup of noise over here, but it's totally right. How you feeling? I feel like you're doing pretty good today, but that's mostly because I'm not here. All right, when I get back tomorrow, I've got some questions I'm going to be asking you on the whiteboards because I miss you so much today and I can't do that with you. Ooh, remember I said, eek, 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 condensed? The book would have a different word for it. They're going to call it standard. Standard form. Okay? So do you want to do some more? If you feel like you don't need any more and you can get to work, go ahead and get to work. If you feel like you want some more, I'm going to do some more. All right, so let's name the parts of the expression. If I have 13Q, what's this part called? That's right, that's called the coefficient. Oh, I spelled it. I don't know how to spell it. That's pretty close. And what's this part called? Remember, that's called the variable. Okay, if I gave you 7y z, name the factors. Seven is a factor. Y is a factor. Z is a factor. All of those are factors. That's going to become important later on. Let me show you why. If I had two expressions being added, and one was 21p plus 28q, I could factor something out of both of them. Here's how. 21 is really 7 times 3 times p. And 28 is really 7 times 4 times q. Notice they have a 7 in common? I could take the 7 out of both. Now, I know you don't understand that whole thing, and it just looked like magic to you, but later, for real, that's going to make a lot of sense. But that's why we're calling them factors, so that later we can factor them out. Makes more sense. All right, let's practice some more. What if I say, multiply 5 times p times 4 times g. Write that for me. 5 times p times 4 times g. Five p 4 g. That's where you should start. And then once you have this, we're going to combine like terms. So these coefficients can be multiplied together. 5 times 4 is 20, and then put your variables. Okay, let's try another one. How about 2 times t times 3 times p? 2 times t times 3 times p. Two times t times 3 times p. Excuse me. And then compare coefficients. 2 times 3 is 6. T, P. All right, next one. Find me the product. Find me the product of 4MP and 11. Find the product of 4MP and 11. Four MP and 11. Combine the coefficients. But Miss D, this one doesn't have letters. I know. We're still going to call it that. 4 times 11, 44 times m times p. Fair enough? All right, let's practice some more from yesterday. I'm going to do those just right over here. Okay, write an expression to show the sum of x and y. Show the sum of x and y. Remember, sum means to add. And if we're going to show the sum of x and y, x, y. All right, let's try another one. Write an expression to show h decreased by 13. H decreased by 13. Decreased by 13 comes second because you have to have something to decrease by 13. What are we going to decrease by 13? H. All right, last one, and I'll let you get started. Write an expression to show 5 less than the sum of y and g. 5 less than the sum of y and g. Five less than means we're going to have something and take 5 away. What are we going to take 5 from? The sum of y and g. Y and g. Okay? So your assignment is in your Google Classroom. Remember, you also have a handout from today that's in there. Some more practice, I think, on exponents and order of operations. Okay, I will see you tomorrow. Good luck.